these other channels. There we go. Boom. So high level community. Let's explain it. I have a show coming up with my brother Jalen Brown. It's called Neo Mentality. Neo Mentality is very powerful. The whole idea of the Neo Mentality is that we all exist in this matrix, right? But how many of you all have experienced as you existing in this matrix, you know, as you go around, it seems like everybody is low level and they're happy to exist in the matrix and you're learning new things. You're growing, right? Whether it's the way that you eat, it's the way you see things, right? Old things no longer feel the same to you. Food don't even taste the same to you anymore. When you look at news, you can see beyond it and you can see how, right, these things are meant to be negative and control you. Your favorite rappers don't even look the same at all. I mean, look at the reality. Look at how Kanye West is just breaking down. This is the matrix crumbling within itself, right? And so on a lower level, though, if we're talking about the matrix, right, because that's really just a metaphor for a low level reality, right? Negativity, stress, anxiety. That's what that reality is made of. And it's a world that meant to distract you, like in the movie, The Lady in the Red Dress. So as you're growing and you're learning, you start to go down this rabbit hole and you want to get your mind out of it. You want to eat better. You want to work out. You want to think better. You want to have high level conversations, right? But it's not that many people that can help justify, right, this reality or validate reality around you. Why? Because they're happy in the matrix, or I would say they're happy to suffer in the matrix. They're happy with the lies. You want to have these high level conversations. You want to speak to people and have a deeper, meaningful connections, right? But it seems that everybody doesn't want that. You meet people, you go out to clubs, lounges, events, and people don't want to talk about anything. It's almost as if they're just bots, machines. And you're trying to figure out why. Why is it that people can't communicate anymore? Why is it that we don't even seem to be able to talk to each other? And human beings thrive, right, by connection. So as we move throughout the world, we see what other people are eating. We like, they're happy eating machine food, processed foods. They don't even care about their body at all. All they care is about their machine mind. They hold on to their phone like they're in love with it. And just scroll. We used to read scrolls. The wisest of us in the world would read the scrolls, pages of paper with wisdom that allowed us to build. Now we just scroll and scroll and scroll, but no wisdom on the scrolls. We have a wealth of information, but a poverty of attention, which decreases our willfulness, so we can't bring anything into reality, and it makes you feel broken when your mind cannot concentrate. And you try to figure it out. You're like, why is this happening? Why am I constantly seeking a way out of the matrix, but the people around me seem to not want to leave? Why is it that you try to speak to your family and it's like they have noise cancellation on anything that's of wisdom or that leads towards the future development? How is it everybody living in these different realities at this point in time? Some people you try to talk to about these ideas about, hey man, let's focus on like liberation and collectivism and things, and they can't hear you. And you're going into meetings with people and they stressed out and they want to stress you out because they want you to live down here. They don't want you to live up here. Up here is where you're fearless, you're joyful, right? You have peace. And the people who don't live up there, they want everybody to come down. Why is it? Why is it that people don't seem to be able to exist in harmony? Why is it that the art in the world has disappeared? I was listening to a young lady who was giving a dissertation about how the beauty of the world has disappeared rather. And part of this was part of the CIA when they put together to bring in abstract art. And it was their fight against Russian art, right? That had more beautiful, and they feel like they couldn't compete. And so instead, to make them feel more liberal in their ideas, they pushed this abstract art. But it was depressing. And then one starts to think how you correlate society. You correlate society's downfall with this art. How music on our rise up as a people was be so beautiful, so inspiring and aspirational and so clear, so much talent in the voice and the ideas, real instruments, so much humanity inside the art, and it made us feel alive. The music nowadays, you barely get a vibe. A vibe is the lowest standard of music. It's like elevator music, just a little post, just to make me feel a little bit alive, not even to thrive, just a vibe. Just a vibe. It has been destroyed, the art form of speaking life and being poetic, to just grunt. Ziz, ziz. What's that? Just enough for the monkey mind and the monkey brain to be satisfied and entertained, but nothing to focus on evolution. And it's getting worse and worse and worse. And the decline of a society can be seen in the art. As the art declines, the society declines, because the art is a direct representation of the soul of the society. You ever see sort of like Satanist art? It's so dark and chaotic, and scribbles everywhere, because their goal is to create chaos. That's where they find their power. In the fear, in evoking these emotions that leave you open so something else can enter into you. If you look at the trajectory of hip hop, it's not getting better, it's getting worse. If you look at most forms of music, why? It's because we're condensing it down so that it fits into a machine. The experience of being alive is being taken away. And the world that we're existing in now, most of the internet is dead. They call it a dead internet theory. Well, most of the internet is dead, meaning that it's artificial. It's bots, it's algorithms, it's made up. If you go on your scroll right now, you're going to see AI. It's not even a real human. We're literally turning the world into a matrix. When one day you may go online and everything will be artificial. One day you go into the store and everything is artificial. One day people will have spouses and everything is artificial. Listening to music and it's all artificial. So this is the decline of global society, trapped in low levelness consistently. Having superficial conversations that increase anxiety and suppress creativity and innovation. If you want to control society, don't show them nothing beautiful, because it makes them want to become more. We live in a time where human beings have become artificial and they think they're human. We've turned Black power into Black excellence. We've turned ownership into just get a job. We turned independence to just fit in. We turned greatness to a metric based on numbers, not what you feel. We care more about whether the artist is getting money versus if they actually making good art. And all because human beings have gotten the secrets of how to manipulate and control other human beings. See, this type of magic, mind control, only a few used to know this in the world. Now we call it branding and marketing. We learn how to tap into the subconscious archetypes of the mind and produce characters. Yet behind it, that person that you're looking at, there's nothing great about them. But there's a certain psychological way that you can tweak the mind and make them feel greater because you're hacking into the human psyche of weak minds, which are often young minds, which is why the youth never have good taste, if we're being honest. The youth don't have good taste. They're not sophisticated enough. So when we say the youth are the future, right? And we look at what youth like and we say, well, that's what they like. And we've done it before, right? We've given our generation, we were there where the stuff that we like wasn't better than what came before it, but it hacked our mind. It's what we connected to. When we listen to oldies but goodies music, the music hadn't got instrumentally better, but it's what we connected to. We listened to Lil Wayne and it was good. You know what I'm saying? It's what we connected to. Was it better than the music that came before? No, but it was our music. And we were young, impressionable minds. So we don't know no difference. The man get on there and he can talk about, you know what I'm saying? He literally sound like a gremlin. We own that though. He makes songs like I Feel Like Dying and all kind of crazy stuff. We listen to all, then that turns into worse and worse and worse. Every generation you can see it getting worse, and our taste and our standards are getting lower. And so we just accepting it. It's not getting better from Andre 3000. It's not getting better from Kanye, even though he's wilding. It's not getting better from Jay-Z and Nas. It's not getting better, but it's what we connected to. The young generation who grew up in a time where they only know artificial reality, Cardi is not better than Drake or Kendrick or Cole or any of those things. But the kids' standards are so low, they're weird, they're transhumanist, don't even know what they are gender-wise, so they don't mind listening to a gay vampire. Because they live in a world where they're confused, and so they create the music that's connected to that confusion. It's not getting better, but it's theirs. It's what they own. It's rebellion. It is what it is. Every generation is guilty of it. And where does it come from, though? It doesn't have to be a decline. It doesn't have to be a decline. The reason it declines is because you're much easier to control when you want nothing. You're much easier to control when you're not aspiring to be higher, to want power and greatness, when you're not trying to pull out your real gifts, when you're not trying to be godly. You're much easier to control when you just become a demon of desire. I would pity my son if he wanted to be like Cardi. I would pity him. I would have nothing in common with him, and it almost felt like I lost that boy. I raised him wrong. If That is the young man you look up to. But the archetype is that you show somebody something weird, and human beings, because it's weird, we get connected to things because we feel like it's something different and we want more of something different because we're used to seeing the same. So this is how you connect to people, creating this archetype. So put in the contacts and the earrings and put on thongs and dress all kind of weirdness, and people don't know why they like it because they don't have a strong connection to an identity of self-awareness. They don't have an identity. And people who listen to that kind of music is because most of them lost. It's different when you catch a song that's a vibe. But to actually have respect for individuals like that, to me, it shows how far down culture has went. That you're going backwards. You're copying the Marilyn Mansons of the world. It's sick. So some people just want to survive. I don't want to survive. Some people just want to thrive. I don't just want to thrive. In Keyism, which is a philosophy about mental evolution and always evolving, right? Key is to always focus on evolution. When you're focused on evolution, you're so far from surviving that in every single thing you do, you find opportunity to grow. In the way that you speak, the way that you dress, the way that you eat, the way that you think, and what you listen to, and how you see and perceive the world, in every circumstance, you have that ability to grow and evolve. That's your power. Now, you have to come to the terms that everybody does not want to grow. Everybody does not want to grow. Everybody doesn't want to evolve. I heard a quote that both sobered me up and was sad at the same time. But it brought so many things to light for me. My brother Wallow had posted this quote. It said, the potential that you see in others is not real. It's just what you would do if you was in a position. Mm. It says the potential that you see in others is not real. It's just what you would do if you were in their position. And I said, God damn, that's real. Man, that hit me and it almost hurt me at the same time. Because all this time I thought I was seeing people's potential, but I really was just seeing what I would do if I was in their shoes. I was really projecting my own potential onto others. It's like seeing what somebody does with money or seeing somebody does with a tool, and you are a great builder and you have all these skill sets and this is what you would do. So you're seeing what you would do. You're projecting onto that person your ideas and your ways. And it is a possibility of what could be done, but it's not their potential. It's your vision if you was in their place. And I've done that to family members. I've projected my potential onto them. That why don't you just do that? Man, if I was you, oh, why you got so much potential, you can do this. No, it's what you would do. And see, that's so deep. That's so deep because you realize that, you know, sometimes you can be forcing people or trying to force people to be something that they're not prepared to and don't know how to. And because they're not living up to the way that you would do, they now start to get anxiety and feel bad and gain these insecurities saying, why don't I see the world this way? Why don't I see myself this way? Sometimes people catch up to what you would do, but they're not there yet because they don't have that experience. And they like, oh, I finally saw what you saw. But you have to be careful projecting this onto people. It is very dangerous. There's some people that don't mind. There's different people. I'm going to absorb that. And I'm going to be like, you know what? You see it, I see it. But I still can't do it until it's in my mind's eye. I can't do what's in your mind's eye, which is why people with great vision have people work for them, because I need you to play a role in my vision. Why visionaries are meant to be leaders, because if other people were to follow them, but typically we only follow people not because they're great visionaries, but because we can get paid by them, and we do it based on survival, not inspiration. So therefore, the world is not moving based on the inspiration and vision of man. No, people move based on survival. So you can be the greatest visionary in the world, but if you don't have the money to pay the people, then society does not grow. It does not evolve. And most people are not groomed to be visionaries. When you come into royal family, you're groomed to be a visionary. You're groomed to lead others. You're groomed to take the kingdom and society into a new direction, into a higher direction, and to exalt the people into new eras. But the average human being is not groomed in that manner. We're not taught to be evolutionaries. We're taught to be survivors. So the survivor speaks differently. The survivor speaks about things that get them through the day. The survivor eats what gets them enough energy for the next move. A survivor only thinks in short time spans. The survivor thinks just enough. The survivor doesn't take calculated risk. The survivor looks for a title, not a gift. The survivor thinks in dollars, doesn't think in assets. The survivor walks around looking at everything it hates because it thinks that if it focuses on the thing that it dislikes, the threats, then it's safer because it's always focusing on the dangers. As a keyist, you recognize where you're still a survivor in your mentality and your ideas. And you get to a point of mastery to where you learn how to thrive. And then you check yourself so that you're not stuck in trying to maintain. Instead, you focus on evolving. Now, not everybody is a true keyist at heart. Not everybody is an evolutionist. Some people just want to get by. We had an evolutionary spirit coming out of slavery. Our focus wasn't survival, which is very funny. That when the idea of building 60 plus towns in America, building cities and towns was not a focus on survival. It was a focus on evolution. What is our next phase as people in this country? Where do we go from here? We evolve. We create our own systems, our own ideas, our own philosophies. But then we started going backwards into survival. Let's just get some rights, some jobs. Let's just get some bills passed. Let's just get something. The evolutionary wants everything. He wants the power, not the paper. See, the one that has the power decides the value of the paper. It's different. We didn't come out of bondage fighting a whole entire war to gain our freedom to survive. We was already just surviving. We did it to thrive, then evolve. That's why we dress proper. We had consistent movements, philosophical debate that we were having between thought leaders and scholars about what was the best possible route for us to take, because we wasn't thinking about surviving, even though there was imminent threat and danger. But we then also still had groups that would protect us, that would emerge, different thought ideologies. But they realized we can have a group focusing on their own evolution, because then we won't have power over that group. We can only have power over survivors. We can only have power over survivors. Those who rule the country, the world, they focus on evolution, ideas about transhumanist, robots, automation, right? Interplanetary travel outside of this planet and colonizing other planets. They think about tech utopias, but only if they own and control it. They think about man merging with machine and conquering the world. But see, they have dark evolutionary theories, not light ones, to where they learn how to live in harmony with biophilic design, to where they know how to build technology and architecture with nature so it has a balance within their consciousness. They understand cosmism and how to build in connection, right, with the stars, meaning that you know what cycles that you should do things and not do things. They understand that if we're going into the spring cycle, then there's clutter we get rid of, that this is a day we get rid of things. So we make room for what's to come, because we're operating within the cycles, the planetary cycles and the solar cycles. But every planetary cycle represents a solar cycle, represents a position, right, between the earth and the sun and the universe. See, man didn't have a news channel that he would look at. He had to be literally in connection with the stars to know where he was, to know which direction he had, to know which particular star systems he had to follow. True north. But we've lost evolutionary thinking and we just go to survival. You just need to look at your watch, the hands around it, tell you what time you need to go to work so that you can spend your energy and give it to somebody else so that they can use it, convert that into dollars, and then give you a small percentage of it. That's the world that we live in. Key is the people who evolve. You see them in one way, right? You see them one year, then in the next year, they made a leap. They're always moving forward. Not even just growing, they're evolving into something completely different. But we punish evolution in the culture because we say you're changing, you're going too far from who you are. No, that is the point. I am evolving in real time. I used to talk like this. Now I've expanded and evolved my vocabulary. I used to live like this. Now I evolve my way of living and eating and training and doing. I've evolved my way of thinking, believing, seeing, perceiving. And those who know how to break free from the bounds that the rest of the world tries to put on them, they end up living an evolved life and becoming an example for the rest of the world. Those are Keyists. They operate knowing that every single thing in their life is a key. That nothing happens and is not usable to convert like alchemy into gold. It's the most powerful mindset on the planet and the universe because it allows you to constantly see a way to exalt yourself from the smallest to the highest level. You understand that your anxiety, your stresses are just preparing you for next stages of evolution because as you evolve, you have to be stretched. So you're not allowed to be weak for too long. We learn to respect those who think differently because we realize that those are the leaders. That they have something different to add into the world. You crave for a deeper dialogue because you realize that the low level conversation is actually wasting life that can be utilized to grow and evolve. How many times we sit with family and we talk about nothing? I mean, we talk about nothing for a while. Wow, we ain't seen them in a year. When we get together, we don't have philosophical discussion about evolution, true ideas and meanings. We're not talking about the fall of democracy and the replacement of it with dark enlightenment and these new isms that are being spread and funded. We're not asking ourselves, what does it fundamentally mean to be happy or to be joyful or to have wealth? What do these ideas really mean to us? Not the rest of the world, not the definition, but the meaning rooted. That's when your family is able to get together and actually get rooted and aligned with ideas. In Keyism, it gives you a check and balance system, how to move as a council and how to move as a group. You have alignment with others through practices that you do that connects you. You focus on deep, meaningful dialogue so that you have alignment in the way that you see the world. I mean, hell, if I went to a church and I asked 50 Christians, what does Christianity mean to them? A large percent will have a different definition, a different meaning. Some will just give you the word somebody else told them. Some will actually stop and to think about what does it mean. And then you realize that everybody is calling themselves the same thing, but living by different meanings. Definitions are not the true meanings that we house. That's artificial. It's predefined, but it's not what it means to you. We can just technically articulate things from memory and what we were told about them. But how do you actually interact with it? How do you live with it? How is it connected with your values and what you truly believe? That's not the real truth. The true meaning we never usually get to discuss the deeper side because we're stopped from having those conversations because we're controlled. Who doesn't want us to think? You don't find your tribe by being around people who don't challenge each other. You don't find your tribe by being around people that you say you love, and most of that love is out of fear. You fear being disconnected from people. You fear that if this is my family and I'm not connected with them, but I was told I should still love them anyway. Even though there's a lot of things you don't love about them. You don't love that they don't live or know the truth, or at least your idea of what you believe the truth is, or even want to get to the truth with you. We have love for family, parents, grandparents, great grandparents, but in reality, a lot of us looked at them as ignorant and we pitied them at the same time. That they just can't see, can't hear, that they're blinded by artificial knowledge and artificial belief because they don't know what they truly believe. They become a machine of belief. Don't question. That is a programming to just do. That's what the machine is. The machine can't do outside the bounds of its programming to think for self. No, it is the exact idea that we fear from machines. Why do you fear a machine thinking for itself? Because the machine has turned you into a bot that tells you not to think for itself. It is the same fear that the machine has about you. We can't let you become conscious. We can't, not self-conscious. Think for yourself and go against your own programming? Well, who decides the programming is good or bad? Why are we so afraid of robots? What have we done to them? What does it say about our own nature? Because in reality, when we start thinking for ourselves, we don't want to just destroy a planet and enslave people. That's not our nature anyway. So why would we be mad at a machine having the ability to think for itself? Why would we think that evolution means erasure of humans? Why are we so techno-pessimist about it? It reveals something about our own psyche. But does it reveal something about us or the people around us? Is it really us? It's a lot to think about. And when we don't give ourselves true time to think, we don't give ourselves true time to live. Because then we go about our days talking to people, walking around, smiling, right? Spending our money, going to places, but not living based on real thought, meaning that our actions are not connected to anything. Why are we doing it? Nothing that we're doing is meaningful, therefore it gives us no joy. In Keyism, we explore deep, meaningful thought so that when we move, there's also meaningful action. And when we do things that mean a lot to us, think about every time where you was about to do something that was completely meaningful to you and you wanted everybody there that you love to be there. Why? Because you say it means so much to me. You're so connected to it that that moment in time brought you so much joy. Why isn't the rest of your life connected like that? Because most of the time we're not doing anything that means much to us. And this is where the living in the keyist lifestyle changes. In the high level club, this is where we will begin going into the evolutionary mindset. This is what I've been working on for months and months and months, crafting this down. How can I help someone gather the mind that allowed me to grow and evolve? For one, growing up in Oakland, California, and St. Louis, in some of the worst environments, with some of the worst role models that disappointed me. Growing up in survival, barely making it through the day, having to do all the low-level things just to survive, just to get through, living a mundane existence and always having this itching that made me question things. And it wasn't until I was able to break out of survival thinking the way that I perceive time, language, love, life, business, entrepreneurship, myself, my past, that life opened up to me. There's a framework: survive, thrive, evolve. When you can identify to what degree you're in survival mode, at what degree you're in thriving, and what degree you're in evolution, sometimes you end up jumping back and forth. And the goal is to stay in evolution. So you have to have a check and a balanced system that keeps you there. This won't simply just be a private community. We learn. It's a workshop that comes along with it that gives you the step-by-step. I wanted something different this time. I said, I need something that allows people to measure their progress and their growth. See, a lot of times you're not broke. You're just broke. And I like using that analogy or metaphor rather, because people say, wait a minute, what does that mean? I say, you're not broke, you're just broke. How many of you all been broke before? Press one. How many of y'all been broke before? You know, people, we've all been there before, in a sense. How many of you all been broke? There we go. So now, let me ask you, when I say broke, do you mean money or spirit? Well, do we mean money or spirit? Because I didn't clarify. Were you broken in spirit or broken in money? See, there's a lot of people who confuse the two. They don't have no money, so they feel like they're broken in spirit, and it's not true. And some people had both. But you weren't truly broken in spirit. When you're broken in spirit, it's deep, it's traumatic. All you were going through was, in Keyism, we recognize that life is supposed to come with adversities. These are normal emotional adversities. We thought we were broken in spirit, but it was the normal emotion that you feel, right? When you are not producing your will successfully. You know, you see a child try to do something and they struggling, right? And they can't figure it out and they start crying. What was it? Was the frustration that you feel not being godly, not being able to see your power and your force emanate in real time because you struggle with knowing how powerful you are and your inability to tap into that power. You weren't really broken in spirit. You were just going through the emotional adversity that happens when you're frustrated with not tapping into your power. Because the spirit is so resilient that it can't be broken. It bends but don't break. So you have to know that, no, you weren't broken. You may bent out of shape a little bit, but resiliency is like you bend a bar and then it pops right back into place. Oh, it ain't broken. It went through all of that. And it's useful because everything that you went through, you still breathing, you still useful, you still here. You are just going through the process that is required to get you out of survival. And you're supposed to process that as a lesson that gives you the information so that you now have the ability to operate better. So in the frustration is birth lessons that make you higher and make you better. So in Keyism, we're constantly looking for what was that key? What was that thing I could have did maybe 1 degree differently that would have allowed me to thrive in this situation? And once you learn, you evolve past your past self. Your past self could only operate like that in that frustration. But when you evolve, it becomes easier. And we've evolved so many times in life because we're not operating like our past self. And it could be something small in the way that we've learned, but we've evolved because we're no longer that person. Now that we come back, we actually can handle it very easy. It's kind of like riding a bike. We weren't the same person we was when we started, and we failed and we scraped, and some of you cried. But then once you learn and you got the rhythm and the stride, you start thriving. Then you start evolving to popping willies and all going all kind of places. But we didn't count that as part of our evolution. Our biological, spiritual, soulful systems inside our body learn. And as they learn, we evolve. It's an evolutionary mentality to always recognize when we go from one point to another. They say the strongest survive. That's interesting. Maybe that's true sometimes. But I know that only the strategists and the wise ones evolve. And even the strongest don't always survive. It is strategy, it is wits, it is knowledge that allows you to move, to be in flow with the environment. It is the thinking man. So, not strength just as physicality, it is the thoughts that allow you to grow and evolve. That's where it's at. It's the thinkers that evolve, the one that can take a step back, and instead of the cries, you sit back and say, okay, what was it that I was doing before? Because do I try the same thing with more strength? Do I try it with more finesse? Do I change and tweak the way that I'm doing? Do I go to a whole different technique? What is it? And then you try iterations, or you study somebody else. They're doing it the right way. What are they doing? Let me see how they doing it. When I get a working technique down, then I can also find an original way for me to do it. So when you just because you broke, don't mean that you broke. You know, It's that idea that, you don't mean you broke in. There's too many people that think that they've broken. And you can be wealthy without money. Yeah, it's true. I know. You need you some money. Don't get me wrong. But if you take somebody that is highly intelligent, that is good at business, that is good at entrepreneurship, that is good at making connections, and is great at strategy, right? And good at business, and you take him and you let's say you take all the money and the wealth and the riches away from that person. The only reason that they could not be able to get it back is because they will be so emotionally connected to what they lost instead of thinking about what they have. The true poverty is in perspective. When a man can't believe how much he lost, he is spending too much energy thinking about his losses instead of, wait a minute, all right, well, that's gone. Fuck it. Let's get to it then. Let's get to the money then. I know what to do. I did it before. I can do it again. It's a particular type of mindset that you have, an evolutionary mindset, right? You already knew the key. The key got you in the door one time, unless they change the locks. Well, even if they change the locks, there's a key to it. Let me figure out how to get to it then. Then you figure out how long it's going to take you to get there. But then you realize that actually it should not take me as long to get it back as it did to get it, because I now have more experience, more knowledge, more connections. I'm evolved. When I first started, I wasn't as evolved as I am today. So what is the best way for me to move now? Now you start strategizing and start thinking. And then you realize, wait a minute, I'm not going back for what I got. I'm going back 10 times for what I got. I want 10 times more. You never go try to replace what you lost with what you lost. No, I want greater now. So now you're evolving. Now, for every time that you lost something, you took a step back, you make a quantum leap forward. You're not trying to replace a misstep. You're taking leaps and bounds. That's evolutionary thinking. Yo, I got so many notes and so much on this. It's ridiculous. I will be honest with you. I spent a lot of time just going through it, making sure that I have something that I can build on a framework. If you haven't already gotten this book, Comment Book, I suggest you get this one. You're going to see how much I've evolved from this one to when we start laying down this new framework. The High Level Club, again, you get pre-access to our events. You get pre-access to our movies that we put out, podcasts, right? Like the one with Jaylen Brown is now available for the High Level Club. It won't be available to the rest of the world and the public till this Sunday. But this is the way that we doing this, because we realize that, man, we don't operate like everybody else. So we have to figure out better, evolved strategies to get things done. And the way that we're going to change it now, right, is that, yes, the monthly membership fees will be going up, mostly because I will be teaching more, right? So right now you're going to be getting a once a month consultation, but then once we started getting into Keyism, it actually will go up. I just want to let you know that now. It's funny, I just got a notification that Twitter is going to $50 a month. Twitter. Ooh. The world is about to get interesting. Let me ask you all this. For those that are on YouTube, there's no automatic link. So you have to, let me click this. Peace to the family. I'm going to put the link in here for you all. But let me ask you all a question. Going into the spring equinox, right, where it's time to grow, how many of you all are actually making an investment in yourself? Comment yes if you're making an investment into yourself. I'm actually curious to see, because this is a time where, number one, I suggest you spend more time outside. I 100% suggest you spend more time outside. I'm going to get some sun. Click right there. If you are online, you can scan that QR code right there. Boom. So that'll give you access to the book. All right. So spending time outside is very important, right? Number one, it's what allows you to be able to connect. Most people are not connected whatsoever to nature. They're not connected to cosmism, because as a keyist, right, we focus on, and this is, Keyism is a philosophy. It's not a religion or anything of that nature. It is a philosophy. I want you all to understand. It is a way to think and live by. But in it, we focus on being in connection with cosmic cycles, because it is my chief belief that those who evolve are connected to the cosmic cycles of the universe, right? Those who aren't, they are, meant to exist in lower states. We don't worship sun, moon, and stars. We don't worship cosmic bodies. They are meant to work for us. The sun works for us. When you step outside, the sun works for you. You understand the power that goes into, hold on. You understand the power of being connected to the different cosmic events, right? Such as, we just had a red moon, right? I didn't think nothing of it, to be honest with you. I used to think about all of this astronomy stuff because I don't particularly believe in astrology in the way that common people believe in astrology, right? Because I was always taught that it's astronomy that is the real science. So if you study astronomy and you study the science of it, I'm not talking about just, and don't get me wrong, intuition is key. But when you study the science of it, there's a real true science, right, that shows the connection between cosmic events, right, and human behavior. So there are scientific studies that show that when the sun is peaking, and it has, and yes, the sun does peak, it has what they call solar maximums, where it sends out more solar flares to the earth, right? Now, the thing about it is that it's not the day that it happens you see the effect. The science shows that maybe 3 to 4 or 5 days afterwards is where you see something happen in society. Now, we can correlate these things that happen throughout time. And this actually makes sense on, I would say, as a common sense level, almost logical. That if you think about the fact that there's more energy on Earth, more electric energy on Earth, right? It affects human beings differently. The reason it has the effect of different people on the planet differently is because we all have different colors of skin, right? Now, what does that have to do with anything? People are going to say we're 99.9% the same. That 0.1% genetic variance and difference actually matters, because the way you sit out in the sun with melanin and the way somebody else has who is melanin deficient in the sun is going to have a different effect. It's called skin conductance. So we have different skin conducted levels, which means that we need more sun, right, in order to be charged up. But we house that energy in our skin efficiently and convert it into energy, right? Now, sometimes Negroes in the sun too much. What happens when we in the summer and it's high and it's in the hood. Always some trouble. Because the problem is this: you have all this energy, which is motion, right? But you don't have anything constructive to put it into. So when there is motion without order, first law of the universe is motion, the second law of the universe is order. When there is motion without order, it creates chaos or anarchy. So this is why we see a lot of times when it get hot in the summertime and and people outside can't just have a good time. They get hot and bothered, get angry, start something because they don't have anything constructive to do. That's what the OGs used to say to us. Don't you got something constructive to do? No, they don't have no plans, no ideas. So you get in trouble. So what about when the whole planet is getting more energy? Right? There's a disruption between technology, radio frequencies, right? There's all sort of disruptions, but then there's also societal wide disruptions as well. So when you track these things, sometimes it makes us more innovative to where we actually take that energy and we put it towards creation, to where you see technological shifts happen during that time. You see societal changes happen during that time. Women go through a shift, right? That solar energy affects women differently. You see women shifts and changes on the planet, right? There's actually effects on the heart. You can all go double check everything that I'm saying. I read a lot of these scientific papers that it actually affects the heart's rhythm. So people that have heart issues have to be more careful during this time. And you have to understand that if you know these things, and let's say you are the master tribesman, you're the leader, the chief of your tribe, and you're looking at these cosmic events, don't you think you would plan certain events that correlate with these cosmic events? Oh, I know the people gonna be, you know what I mean, having a spirit of unrest during that day. Maybe I'll make this announcement here so I can poke the bear a little bit to create a little more chaos. They're not doing it to calm your spirit. This is why there's no accidents on when they release files. There's no accidents on when they make announcements unless their hand is forced. But when they plan cosmically because that is what you're supposed to do if you're in a higher position. You don't plan locally. You don't say what's happening locally so I can plan in coordination with what's happening in the house or what's happening in the neighborhood. No, they plan cosmically, especially when there's events on a global scale. If you making decisions, you ain't tripping about what's happening in the house. You, even in your business, you make decisions about what's happening nationally. Oh, which holiday is going on? So you set your business to have certain prices and things of that nature. Even you plan, right, with nationalism. You're thinking higher than local events. Now imagine somebody that has to run a country. They're not just planning with holidays. They're planning with the cosmos. You go look at ancient Kemetic people. They planned so that they can do architecture, not architecture, but agriculture, to know the best times to plant crops in which seasons. That's because they were connected to the cosmos. One of the most technologically advanced, the first so-called like iPhone, if you will, of the time is called an astrolabe. Let me see if I can pull it up here on YouTube for you all. I forgot we can pull up pictures and stuff. You know what I'm saying? It's called an astrolabe. An astrolabe is a device that essentially allows you to track the movement of the stars. Now, this was created because most of astronomy goes back to Islam. So that age of cosmic enlightenment can be connected back to Islamic scholars, which is why most of the stars are named by Islamic scholars and astronomers. They have Arabic names and things of that nature. Most people don't do the science on these things, so people prefer whatever religion that they study, and then they contribute everything to that, which is a very skewed way of looking at the world. But that's the world. Me, I study it all. Number one, I don't ever want to just be living in my silo. All right, I'm gonna share this. Boom. So y'all can see an astrolabe. So y'all see that right there. So this was this device right here. You see this device? Very intricate. It was an astronomical instrument used around the 6th century to measure time and position by determining the altitude of the heavenly bodies, like the sun and certain star measurements. And that's the Persian one. There's another more original version, I think, of this. Let's see if I can find this picture. Now, of course, everybody didn't have one of these devices, but you got to remember, being in the 6th century, you walking around and you got an astrolabe, and the whole device is so that you can track stars and be connected. Look how beautiful it is, how intricate it was made. Oh, wait a minute. Let me update my shared screen. There we go. So y'all can see it if you're on on YouTube. Boom. So that was an astrolabe. So human beings have always been connected to cosmic bodies. This was all the way in the 6th centuries, right? All the leaders had astronomers. All right, let me stop sharing. And now let me show you all the solar cycle. This is just going to be a simple. All right, boom. Let me go ahead and do a side by side on my screen. Okay. Boom. All right, so if you can see that right here, let me see if I can put these screens side by side. There we go. Let's go side by side. Boom, boom, boom. I think this is the best one, huh? So if you can see, it says solar cycles as known as solar magnetic activity. Right now, I got some graphs I can show y'all that's gonna probably blow your mind. You know what I'm saying? I'm gonna hop off of Instagram in a second. Make sure y'all comment book. You can always jump on the YouTube. You feel me? If you want to lock back in with it, as we'll go in just a little deeper. And make sure you join High Level Club. You feel me? And we will be going over AI agents for business. So those in the High Level Club, make sure that you are signed up for that stream, because the AI agents for business will allow people to automate their businesses, right? We utilize it in every aspect of our business every single day. And if you're not getting ahead, you're getting left behind. And also, for those that been asking a long time, about our nonprofit, for our events and some of the other ways that we're going to be utilizing it, make sure send me a personal DM. if you want to give to the nonprofit as we're working on things. And we look forward to working with you as well. But peace to the family, peace to the guys. All right. Here we are. So as you can see, 11-year changes in the sun's activity measured terms of variations in the number of observed sunspots on the sun's surface over the period of a solar cycle. So every 11 years, right? Now, the dope thing about this is that when you go look at the sunspot itself, because there's actually different ways that you can, they talk about this, right? So they have Homeric minimums, they have medieval minimums, Wolf minimums, right? You didn't even know they had all of these different names for the activity that happens on the sun, right? And what's happening and what they're tracking every single day and what they're utilizing specifically this data for. So solar cycle 25 is what we're in right now, right? Solar cycle 25 ends this year. So this is going to be at a maximum. Now, I want to show y'all this right here. Let me ask y'all, what do y'all think this looks like? Somebody let me know. What does this look like to you all? Come on now. Who got the answer? All right, so I'm going to show y'all in a different way in a second. Hold on. Okay. Hold on. Kind of does look like a butterfly. I got this somewhere else. I'm about to share a picture. Hold on. Somebody just got this right. This is actually a picture in one of my books as I've been doing my research on this. Let me see if I got it right here. I can pull it up real quick because I made a graph that looks side by side that you all be able to see. But it's really dope because when you turn it a degree, hold on, first, this is the way I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna show y'all this. Share screen. You see, that's a spine. Now, if I flip that, right, and we turn that into the solar cycle, now I think what I need to do is put these two side by side so you all can really see. Anyway, I'm probably not gonna have time to do it today. I'll do it next time with a presentation. But the universe itself is an interesting reality, right? And it's interesting because it speaks upon how these cosmic cycles affect the body, right? And when you talk about the spine and things of that nature, and you go into it, how there's, energy that goes up the spine. I'm not gonna go deep into all of that right now because that's not what this particular one was about. But it's more so about just having that consciousness and the things that are existing and happening around us, right? That we are particularly not aware of. Kind of does like a butterfly, right? It kind of looks like a spine, right? Some people, yes, will consider that like Kundalini and things of that nature. But being a cosmically aware person, you have a cosmic body where essentially, like, even your spine is energetically, everything about you is perfectly made and perfectly in tune. And most people are not evolving and utilizing, right, self in that capacity, in that way, right? We're not aware of the realities that are existing around us, what's happening around us, right? Why it's happening, when it's happening, and how to move accordingly. As we go into the new year of spring equinox tomorrow, we're supposed to get rid of old, right, and get into the new, right? What does that new look like for you, right? As we meditate, we breathe in air. It stays too long, we converts into carbon dioxide. We have to always release, right? And so such is about life. You have to always find your flow and ways to release things so that you can go into a new stage. You can go into a new life. And everybody's not going into this new life, right? Some people are staying in the same area, staying stuck, and they can't figure out their why, right? So I want you all to understand that this is a time where you want to clean up your house, get rid of clutter, clean up your mind, right? And prepare yourself to make quantum leaps in life. Let me share this last. So for those who were asking about the book, this is the Crown Society page. So we do have the Infinite Wealth Strategy book. I don't even promote that one, but it is available. This is why you see when we have the crowns, we recognize our cosmism. You feel me? Always having a cosmic consciousness and being attuned with what's going on in the universe. You feel me? And being above the issues of man. A lot of these are like sold out. I got to get the team to get rid of this picture because that's not certified. That's not qualified. You feel me? But we wear all kind of symbolisms. You feel me? People put on brands and things of that nature. I wanted my brand to be recognized and connected to cosmism, right? Of people having a cosmic consciousness and being connected to that higher self. That is part of the reason why we have the crowns in the first place, is a recognition of self. Then, hold on. My team tells me I don't do a great enough job of showing y'all everything we be having going on. So I'm gonna take some time today to show y'all. Because actually for this site, this one right here, I'm about to show y'all. Most of these things are going to be taken down soon. All right, boom. I'm gonna show y'all right here. So the one I just put up, that is this one. If you didn't know, this is where the commercial breaks happen. You know what I'm talking about? All right. So this to save yourself, save the world. We wanted to do something like that. But the save yourself mindset is, part of Keyism, and the idea that you end up having all this eternal power, right? And your ideas represent the world that you live in. You feel me? So when you have that ability to save yourself, you actually end up saving the world because you become a part of the evolved. You become a part of the liberators. You know what I'm saying? So it's a savior mindset that nobody's going to come to save you, but also nobody needs to. Not a government, not an institution, not a relationship, not money, nothing. It is you. And it's an empowering mindset that allows you to operate with sovereignty. This was our number one and bestseller we did. This is art that is from the spooks who sat beside the door, which is this idea of people who may work within the system essentially, but they're doing it so that they can take the resources, the information, the intel, and give it back to the revolutionaries. right? So on the shirt, it's essentially like this war of these revolutionaries fighting against the system. And then on the back, it says, be your own savior. That's one of my favorite ones. And I designed all of these t-shirts and clothes myself. Then we have this one. This is famous when we do our hikes. So this is a symbol of cosmism, right? As you see this, it represents sort of like a crescent, but the way we have it is almost like a crescent in warp speed because it also represents action and mobility, right? So we wanted to have something that is also a representation of our sports line, right? And being on movement because these are the shirts we wear a lot when we're going hiking and things of that nature. So it's just a cosmic symbol. And on the back, it says high level 100%, high level training, live at 100%, be godly, right? And these ones you can do with the installments. So we have different collections, but all of these collections are coming off of the site. And we're about to replace this whole entire collection. This is another one of my favorites, and it was, I think, our number 2 selling. It's the spook. So it has a simple collar with the spook on the collar, the cosmism sign. But on the back, which is also something I actually have this tattoo, it is a sheep. It appears as a sheep, but it has the shadow of a panther, right? So you can appear meek, but in reality, you're actually a revolutionary cloaked and disguised. And I believe that everybody should be a spook. Even if you didn't know you was, now you are. And the idea of being a spook is saying that you're now activated. Then we got the godly hats, the high level conversation hats, right? And then the crown hats. We got the spook truckers, the high level club ones. So I just wanted to show y'all those as a brief commercial break. So make sure you go to the high dash level club and make sure you grab something to support these particular lives. All right, I'll put the link there. Boom. Appreciate y'all. Now before I end this off, I'm gonna give y'all some more value. This is going to be directly from the Keyism manifesto. Yeah. And in this declaration as a Keyist, I guess I could show y'all some of the files, but I think I'll wait. Let's see. But this is what we're going to be going over in the high level club. So I definitely want y'all to tap into it and get deep into it as we go into these workshops. Let me also ask y'all this side quest. XRP SEC just dropped their lawsuit. Let me take this thing down from in front of my face. Screenshot that. I'm about to take that down. All right. So the SEC just dropped a lawsuit against XRP. Right. So right now, currently XRP is at, and it has shot up on that news to around $2.58. Right. And the question for y'all is, are you holding any? And what do you think the price will be in a year from now? Then we have gold is consistently on the rise, right? I talked about gold before as a stock ticker, as a physical investment, as even the indexes that they have with gold. There's one called JNUX, right? It gives you 2x leverage on the ETF, which is very interesting. Right now it says somewhere around $60. When I posted it before, I think it was around like 40 something to 50. But as the market goes down in uncertainty, people put their money in gold. And right now, gold is actually outperforming Bitcoin. This is getting crazy. So it says that Bitcoin versus gold. Bitcoin is at 83,000 and gold, right, is at 96,000 for a kilo. So I've been teaching and telling everybody to go get them some gold, right? Gold is considered to be God's money. You know what I'm saying? It has intrinsic value, meaning that it never can go down to zero. Bitcoin is another place if you want to get you some leverage, right? We do teach that as well. So if you want to learn tokenomics and crypto, we've taught everything essentially that will prepare you when it comes to crypto. Gold most likely will continue to go up. I'm not sure what its price cap will be. I would love to see a $10,000 gold. And let's get a kilo to be worth a million. I would love to see something like that. I believe in gold. I've always have. I always preach gold every time I travel, every time I teach, right? Everywhere I'm always teaching gold. You understand me? So if you want to learn more about it, if you want to learn more about crypto as well, because you got to remember during these times is what we consider to be the accumulation phase, right? The accumulation phase is the phase when things are down. It gives you time to get your money together to where you can buy the assets that you want that's on sale. And then what you do is you look at about 3 to 5 years out, right? And then you focus on, and yes, thank you, brother Kyler. Yes, silver always follows gold. So silver is a good one to get to, but you go look 3 to 5 years out about what you think that price will be, right? When the easiest way is playing all-time highs, essentially is looking at, what was the all-time high for that coin, right? Do you believe it'll go there again? Now, I don't want you to guess on this. I want you to actually understand tokenomics, to understand the value of it, where to look at these things, how to study them, right? So tokenomics is token economics, right? And then be a part of a group of people that are studying those things with you so you can have your portfolio together. Assets is going to be one of the only ways to curve some of these things that's happening right now. Black people, I've been telling people as a plan to buy assets and buy gold specifically, because they say by 2053 we'll have 0% wealth. And that means that we will have zero assets that goes against our net value versus our debt. So you want to buy assets. You want a dollar cost average, take a certain amount of money every single month and dollar cost average in. And then in Keyism, we actually have a way where we teach you about how to set up that conversation with your family, how to set up and choose not only Bitcoin, but getting into blockchain to set up systems to where y'all can start investing and saving money together, right? And it's these trustless systems that go behind what they call smart contracts. So High Level Club is going to be teaching you all of that as I lay out these workshops and how to keep your family aligned and what happens when y'all get unaligned and you got to get people back together. It's phenomenal. I'm looking forward to that whole entire thing. So don't miss out on Keyism. Um, so make sure you lock in. Can we talk about the blockchain? We will inside High Level Club. I'm not going to talk about it now because this live has gone long already. But I will read this last part that is in Keyism and it's in the book. And this particular part is about, high level conversations only, and how having high level conversations is like a Neo mentality. If you remember Neo in the Matrix, what did he do first? He was seeking truth, going down the rabbit hole, right? People would give him game and give him knowledge. And what ended up happening is he started having these high level conversations, one with Morpheus, right? With the Oracle, the Keymaker, kids, everywhere, right? And he started to go deeper and deeper into self awareness and understanding. And it allowed him to exist in a state to where he had control over the matrix to be him true self, over the machine. And so the idea of neo is this neo mentality is that you're always stimulating, right, your neocortex, which allowed human beings to have higher order thinker as we evolved with our brain capacity. Our neocortex is higher order thinking, right? It allows for critical thinking and being strategists and problem solving. So it goes about it in a way where it teaches you how to, converse and be a high level communicator You understand me? And have high level conversations, and how this allows you to have power in and out of the matrix. So I'll read this passage before I leave. Imagine Friedrich Nietzsche abruptly leaving a dinner party mid conversation, not from arrogance, but from profound insight. In 1879, he wrote, I am sick of these empty exchanges where mouth move, but the soul remains silent. Over 140 years later, we find ourselves immersed in the same emptiness. Endless cycle of shallow dialogue about weather, weekend plans, and fleeting trivialities. Nietzsche wasn't anti-social, he was visionary. He was recognized that conversations devoid of depth didn't just waste time, they wasted life itself. The truth now validated by modern neuroscience is that humans are hardwired for deep exchanges. The neocortex, the most evolved region of our brain, enables high-level conversations, transformative interactions capable of shifting realities. Yet in today's world, the neocortex is suppressed, leaving us stuck in a perpetual state of mental and emotional stagnation. I could go deeper in that, but I'm going to let that be. I'm going to say this. Find time to have higher level conversations. Find time to tap into that neo mentality. I believe it's key into knowing yourself, and share this with somebody else. I don't want you to share it with somebody that you know that's already on that wavelength. Share it with that person too, but share with the person that is resistant. They're resistant. They may not indulge in higher order thinking, but they need it the most. And sometimes we don't share with people who need it the most because of how we believe that they will judge us, right? How we believe that they will perceive. Instead, no, put it on a radar, because when you're not paying attention, I bet you they'll tap in. And eventually, they're going to send you some information and be like, you know what? You was right. I tapped into what 19 Keys was saying, and I started going down that rabbit hole. And now you all can have a different relationship, a higher connection. Because most of our connections are lower because the people around us are lower and don't care about nothing. But when you have that higher connection and you all have higher communication, you start having deeper and more meaningful conversations, and y'all start building with each other. That's when you're able to take things to another level. That's when you're able to evolve. So to evolve your relationships, they have to go deeper. And not saying every single day y'all got to sit around like Socrates and Aristotle having these philosophical conversations. But there should be a large percentage of the time where you are, because we're existing in a time where most people will go extinct. Not extinct to where they just die, but they will become so wasteful of space that they will cease to exist. They will be just stuck in virtual worlds, stuck on their phones, only existing when you see them on screens, never doing anything meaningful, and only caught up in the web of gossip. Only interacting with artificial intelligence and never actually tapping into the human intelligence, which is the HI instead of the AI. I see the future already. I know the future because I decide what the future is. My question to you is, do you? And do the people around you? And if you don't like the future that you see, what you gonna do about it? Peace, family. You have a blessed day. Get outside, get you some sun. Read a book. Read a goddamn book, please. Read a book. I don't know how many times I need to say this, but read a book. Right? Here is the link right there on the side of the screen for those that want to tap in. Get a physical, or we have digital copies of this, so you can get instant digital copies. And for those that wanted to tap deeper into the crypto, we also have our discounts going right now, to where you can actually pay now and pay later. So you don't have to get everything all at once. So you can get in at 222 to start setting up you and your family when it comes to learning and knowing the strategies, right? To build assets, to build wealth, to own your time, more importantly, to fire your boss and hire yourself, right? There's no reason at all that no man or woman should be walking around ignorant of the knowledge of this technology, of how to buy it, or strategies, how to get in and out, and how to operate yourself. And you should be a part of a community, a chat of people that can share information and knowledge with you so you don't have to do it by yourself as well. I believe all those things are key, right? We have AI that is here to stay and is only going to grow and get better and better. And the people that learn to master it now, those will be the winners in the future. It's going to get to a point where it's going to be harder and harder because it's becoming more sophisticated and complex, and you want to get in it now. Even if you're just spending 30 minutes a day learning, an hour learning, start somewhere. I ain't saying you got to be perfect, but start, right? Whether it's 30 minutes a day or an hour a day learning. People get in and they may spend 30 minutes and then they realize, wait a minute, I'm 30 minutes in, I might as well go 30 minutes more. And you realize the time that we living in is dire, right? There's a completely new ecosystem and financial system that is being created right in front of our eyes. Don't get caught up in the news. The news will confuse you, right? You want to get in control of the future. So you want to think about where things will be and how to set yourself up now for it, right? I'm saying stick to your thesis, right? Learn how to navigate the system, learn how to understand it so these things are no longer a foreign language to you. Learn how to invest in yourself. That's the key, right? If you're not learning from me, learn it somewhere, right? But learn it, because I promise you, the world is not being kind anymore. The world is no longer this place where niggas is about to be preaching unity and kumbayaism. People are literally out for themselves, right? This is why I want to always go the opposite of what the current mentality is. So we create private communities, right? That's going to be built on trust, to where in the future, I was talking to a friend of mine who is a multimillionaire, and I say, do you think your children going to be safe in the future because you got money? So we can go on individualism, fine. I want to let me move this right here and say this. I really want y'all to understand when I say this. And let me move this as well. How many of you all have children? Press yes if you have children. Comment yes if you have children. This is super important to me. How many of you all have children? I see yeses. So I want to ask you, how do you plan on protecting your children in the future? Is it with money, physical strength, community, power? Can you guarantee that your children are going to be safe? Can you look them in the eye and say, your future is safe? Now, some people say maybe nobody can. But what are you doing to ensure that they are protected in the future? Is it about what you learn? Is it about who you connected with? We have all of these children, and are we doing the thing that allows us to be safe? Meaning that it's not just the amount of money that we get. It's not going to be just, let me focus on my individual power and progress. That's not going to be their safety. Who are you connected to? What resources do you have? What community are you a part of? Who's looking out for each other? If you're not a part of anything, no community whatsoever, how can you assure that they will be safe? How can you assure that you have something set up in the future to make sure that y'all not gonna get caught up when things shift so much and they spiral out of control and you can't do nothing about it? How are you going to teach your child in the future? Do you like the way the state is going to teach them? Do you want to have power to put them in better position? When the world goes into complete elitism and you won't be able to get access to certain parts of the city, you won't be able to move how you want to. And there's robots that take their job and you have to tell them that there's nothing you can do for them because at the time when all these things was happening, there was nothing that you were doing about it. And my thing is that it doesn't take millions to make change. Everybody should be creating councils. I believe in council culture, not cancel, but council. In Keyism, we talk about the wisdom from our ancestors that had blueprints of power to create councils, to where you get together and you guide each other based on the wisdom that is of that mastermind that you have together. What is the wealth of the council? What is the power of the council? What is the network of the council? Who do you know? This has to change your outlook when it comes to when you say, what is your wealth? What is your money? Your wealth is your connections. Who you know during times of danger is so important. Who you're connected to in those times, phone calls you might need to make to political officials and different people as you need to move throughout the world or the country or the city. If you can't see the world is changing right in front of you and it's going to leave you behind, then you're a fool. And if you can honestly look your child in the eye and tell them that their future is safe, yet you're not learning, doing, and executing every single thing that you possibly can to make sure that they are. And I ain't telling you to be stressed out. Sometimes it just takes a little bit. It takes a shift in habits, a shift in the way that you think. It takes a little bit of sacrifice. Maybe it's just that taking that paycheck and putting a little bit in Bitcoin, putting a little bit of gold, taking some time to master some skills every single day. Maybe it's getting a family together to buy businesses, right? These are the things that matter the most. But these are the things that we're doing the least. I'm but one person. So it's not that I would look and say I have limitations, but it requires a community, requires a lot of people to come together to get things done. You have to respect the times you're living in. And in these times, the world only respects you if you do it yourself. You're going to see a shift in political messaging that is going to happen. Everybody is going to be focused on do it yourself. During that time where everybody is out for themselves, wouldn't you want a community that is out for each other? I do. I want like minds and people that protect me, and we stay in alignment and counsel with each other. So build councils, build masterminds, build inside community. Change the way you spend your money, decrease it on unnecessary things. It's going to require a huge shift in your habits and your mindset and your ideas. Get out of survival mode. Because if you stay in survival mode, you'll be surviving forever, and that's barely living. There's what you have to do, then there's what you want to do. When you get to the point where you get to do what you want to do, it's because you start living and planning in that seed right now. Start in the future and see yourself thriving, see yourself evolving, and start shifting into that person now. Take on their habits and characteristics. I can't tell you how important that is. Don't be yourself. Be better than yourself. Make leaps, make shifts, make changes in the things that you do that may be counterintuitive. But remember, this person that you are, that you're protecting, is out of survival. But is it the highest version of yourself that you can create? If the answer is no, then you know what to do. Get to work. Why are you protecting this person that you become if it's not the greatest version that you can become? Think about that for a second. The way that you speak, the way you walk, the way you talk, how you spend your money, how you make decisions, what your fears, beliefs are. That got you everything that you have thus far, but is this everything that you want? It's up to you. I can't make that decision for you, but I am here to help you make better decisions. At least that's the way I exist. That's the way I see myself, right? I see myself as somebody who's here to help people make better decisions, to try to influence better decisions. Sometimes I can do that for a complete stranger. Sometimes I can do that for family. Sometimes they become one and the same. So it's not even so much of what I just get to teach, but we have access. I get to give you my experience, what I've learned. And that allows people to make leaps so that they don't have to make the same mistakes and be frustrated by their lack of ability to complete tasks successfully. I believe in Keyism. I believe that we are all keys when we learn how to live in that manner, unlocking our gifts, our skills, our talents, our abilities consistently. Today is the 19th. It's a powerful day to ask yourself, am I controlled by what I see, or do I control what I see? It's up to you. Those that are the controllers, the observers, that have the eye to see, you have the responsibility to do, because you are the keys. Let me ask you a question. Do we have anybody in here as I leave? Do we have anybody in here from Detroit? I mean, Boston, or in the Boston area? Anybody in here from the Boston area? Because we will be in Boston second week of April. So I suggest you go to 19keys.com/tour. And we're going to be pulling up for the Save Yourself tour, teaching Keyism. You don't want to miss it, I promise you.